Welcome back, American Coin Hunter. Imagine holding a small copper coin in your hand. Something so ordinary that most people would never look at it twice. Something that might be sitting right now in a jar, a drawer, or even forgotten in an old wallet. And yet this single coin could be connected to one of the most shocking and unbelievable valuations ever whispered in the world of coin collecting. A 1967 1-cent coin that, under extremely rare circumstances, has been linked to headline figures reaching as high as $281 million, a number so massive that it sounds impossible, unreal, almost like a myth. Yet the story behind the 1967 penny is exactly the kind of story where myths, history, minting errors, and collector obsession collide. The year 1967 was a strange and powerful time in American history. The United States was deep into social change. The Vietnam War dominated headlines. Inflation pressures were rising, and the U.S. Mint itself was undergoing quiet but critical transitions. Coins minted during this era were not just pieces of money. They were historical artifacts produced under intense demand, rushed production schedules, and evolving minting technology. The 1-cent coin of 1967, commonly known as the Lincoln cent, was struck in massive numbers, and that is exactly why most people assume it has no value at all. Millions upon millions were produced, and most were spent immediately, scratched, worn, and damaged through everyday use. But hidden within this ocean of ordinary pennies were extraordinary mistakes, anomalies so rare that they turned a 1-cent coin into something collectors would later fight over with unbelievable passion. The 1967 1-cent coin was struck using a copper-based composition, approximately 95% copper and 5% zinc, a formula that gave the coin its rich reddish-brown color when fresh from the mint. The standard weight of a genuine 1967 penny is about 3.11 grams, and this number is critically important because weight is one of the first clues collectors use to identify rare errors. A difference of even a few tenths of a gram can signal something extraordinary, such as an off-metal strike, a wrong planchet error, or a transitional mistake that should never have escaped the mint. Thousands of collectors around the world own digital scales today for one reason alone: to catch weight anomalies on coins exactly like the 1967 cent. The design of the 1967 penny follows the familiar Lincoln portrait created by Victor David Brenner, a design that first appeared in 1909 and had already become deeply embedded in American culture by the time 1967 arrived. Abraham Lincoln's profile faces right, calm, dignified, and timeless, with the word liberty behind him and the date 1967 in front. What many people do not realize is that small differences in lettering thickness, spacing, and strike depth can reveal important clues about die wear, double dies, and hubbing errors. On some rare 1967 cents, collectors have observed doubling in the date or lettering, a subtle shadow effect that can dramatically increase the coin's value when verified by professional grading services. That on the reverse side, the Lincoln Memorial dominates the design, symbolizing unity, remembrance, and national pride. The words United States of America arch across the top. 1 cent sits proudly at the bottom, and E pluribus unum stretches above the memorial. In most pennies, these details are crisp but ordinary. However, on error coins, you might find weak strikes, missing details, misaligned designs, or even dramatic off-center impressions where part of the coin appears blank. These are not damages caused after minting. They are mint errors, born during the chaotic process of high-speed coin production. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1967 penny is the absence of mint marks. During the mid-1960s, the U.S. Mint temporarily removed mint marks from coins in an attempt to discourage hoarding. As a result, all 1967 pennies, regardless of where they were minted, carry no mint mark. This policy alone makes the year historically unique and adds another layer of intrigue for collectors. Because no mint mark can be used to distinguish origin, collectors must rely entirely on strike characteristics, metal composition, and error diagnostics to identify ultra-rare specimens. Now this is where the story begins to move from ordinary history into the realm of jaw-dropping value. Among the millions of 1967 pennies produced, a tiny handful are believed to have been struck on incorrect planchets. These are coins struck on metal blanks intended for other denominations or even foreign coins. Imagine a penny struck on a silver planchet, or on a thicker or thinner blank than intended. The resulting coin would have the wrong weight, the wrong color, and sometimes incomplete or distorted designs. These mistakes were never supposed to leave the mint, yet history has shown again and again that some always do. Collectors have also documented 1967 pennies with dramatic double-die errors, where the design was impressed twice in slightly different positions. This results in clear doubling visible to the naked eye, especially in the date and lettering. True double-die errors are among the most valuable varieties in American coinage, and when combined with pristine condition, their prices can skyrocket into 6 or 7 figures at auction. These coins are authenticated, encapsulated, and fiercely protected by their owners. Yes, oh, how does a figure like $281 million even enter the conversation? This is where legend, extreme rarity, and collector psychology intersect. In the world of ultra-high-end numismatics, value is not always based solely on metal content or age. It is driven by uniqueness. A one-of-one coin, a coin that should not exist, a coin tied to a transitional moment in minting history, can become priceless. Rumors within elite collector circles speak of a unique 1967 cent struck on a prototype experimental planchet, never officially documented, allegedly discovered decades later and quietly traded between private collectors. The estimated valuation attached to this piece, fueled by private offers and insurance appraisals rather than public auction results, reached astronomical numbers that stunned even veteran numismatists. Whether or not such a coin ever appears publicly, the impact of these stories is real. They drive interest, they inspire collectors to search rolls, jars, and inherited collections, and they keep the 1967 penny in constant discussion. Every year, new error discoveries remind the community that the impossible sometimes slips through the cracks of history. Coins once dismissed as worthless suddenly reappear in news headlines after being authenticated and sold for staggering sums. Condition plays a massive role in value as well. A 1967 penny in average circulated condition may be worth only a few cents, but in uncirculated or mint state condition, especially with full red luster, the value can climb significantly. Add a confirmed error to that pristine condition, and the price curve becomes exponential rather than linear. Professional grading services examine these coins under high magnification, checking strike quality, surface preservation, and authenticity before assigning grades that can make or break a coin's future value. The thrill of the 1967 penny lies in its accessibility. Unlike ancient coins locked away in museums, these coins still surface today. They are found in pocket change, estate collections, and forgotten coin albums. Every collector knows that the next legendary discovery could come from the most unexpected place. This is why the 1967 penny continues to captivate attention decades after it was minted, why videos about it rack up millions of views, and why collectors never stop searching. And as long as there is even the smallest possibility that a 1-cent coin could rewrite someone's financial future, the legend of the 1967 penny will never die. The deeper you go into the story of the 1967 1-cent coin, the more you begin to realize that this is not just a coin. It is a gateway into a hidden world where microscopic details decide fortunes and where patience, knowledge, and sometimes pure luck separate ordinary collectors from legends. Every experienced numismatist will tell you that the real hunt does not begin with what you can easily see, but with what most people overlook. And the 1967 penny is a perfect example of this truth because its greatest secrets are often invisible to the untrained eye. One of the most critical factors that collectors obsess over is the exact strike quality of the coin. During 1967, the U.S. Mint was producing coins at extremely high speeds to meet public demand. Dies wore out quickly, pressure was inconsistent, and quality control was far from perfect. This environment created the perfect conditions for mint errors. Some 1967 pennies show weak strikes, where Lincoln's hair appears flat or the steps of the Lincoln Memorial seem incomplete. Others display unusually sharp strikes, suggesting fresh dies and optimal pressure. These high-quality strikes, when preserved in untouched condition, are incredibly desirable because they represent the coin exactly as it left the mint decades ago. Then there are off-center strikes, one of the most visually dramatic errors a collector can find. An off-center 1967 penny may show part of the design missing entirely, replaced by a smooth blank area of copper. The value of such a coin depends on how much of the design is visible and whether the date can still be clearly read. If the date remains visible and the error is large, collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums. These coins are living proof that something went wrong at the mint, and that mistake became history frozen in metal. Another category that sends collectors into a frenzy is the clipped planchet error. These occur when the metal strip used to punch out coin blanks overlaps during the cutting process, resulting in a curved or straight chunk missing from the coin. On a 1967 penny, a genuine clipped planchet will show smooth, natural metal flow at the clipped edge, not jagged damage. These coins are rare, and when authenticated, they become centerpieces of error coin collections. Die cracks and die breaks are also commonly studied on 1967 cents. As dies deteriorated under heavy use, cracks formed and eventually transferred onto the coins. Some cracks are thin and barely noticeable, while others are massive, creating raised lines or blobs of metal across the coin's surface. Collectors refer to some of the most dramatic examples as cuds, where part of the die broke away entirely, leaving a raised, unstruck area on the coin. Each die crack pattern is unique, making these coins unrepeatable artifacts of a specific moment in minting history. Weight anomalies continue to play a major role in identifying potentially life-changing discoveries. A 1967 penny that weighs significantly more or less than the standard 3.11 grams demands attention. A lighter coin might indicate a thin planchet or improper metal mixture, while a heavier coin could suggest a wrong planchet altogether. Some collectors have reported finding 1967 pennies weighing closer to silver dime specifications, igniting speculation about extremely rare off-metal strikes. While most of these claims require professional verification, the possibility alone keeps collectors constantly checking their scales. Color variation is another fascinating aspect of these coins. Most 1967 pennies have toned over time, turning brown or chocolate-colored due to oxidation. However, some coins retain their original red luster, especially if they were stored properly and never circulated. Full red examples are far scarcer than many people realize, and their value can be multiples higher than their brown counterparts. In the world of high-end collecting, color is not just cosmetic. It is a measure of preservation, history, and rarity. The market for rare pennies is driven by both public auctions and private sales. While auction results are transparent and widely reported, some of the most expensive transactions never make headlines. Ultra-rare coins, especially those rumored to be unique, are often sold privately between elite collectors, investors, and institutions. These private deals can include confidentiality agreements, making exact prices difficult to confirm. This secrecy is one of the reasons why figures like $281 million continue to circulate in collector lore. When a coin is truly one of a kind, its value is determined not by price guides, but by what a single buyer is willing to pay. Insurance valuations also contribute to these staggering numbers. A coin believed to be unique or historically irreplaceable may be insured for astronomical amounts, not because it has sold for that price, but because replacing it would be impossible. These insurance figures often leak into the collector community, fueling speculation and debate. The 1967 penny, with its unusual minting context and rumored experimental errors, sits at the center of this speculation. Collectors searching for valuable 1967 pennies follow disciplined routines. They examine coins under magnification, compare weights, study known error catalogs, and cross-reference auction records. Many discoveries happen not because of luck alone, but because someone knew exactly what to look for. Stories abound of collectors who spent years searching rolls of pennies before finally finding a single extraordinary piece that changed everything. The emotional side of coin collecting cannot be ignored. Holding a coin that might be worth millions creates a rush unlike anything else. It is a connection to history, to craftsmanship, and to chance itself. The 1967 penny represents this emotion perfectly because it looks ordinary, yet carries the potential for extraordinary value. Every scratch, every anomaly, every variation tells a story that began in a minting press over half a century ago. As time goes on, surviving examples become fewer. Coins are lost, damaged, melted, or simply forgotten. This gradual disappearance increases scarcity, and scarcity fuels value. Future generations of collectors may look back at today as the golden era of discovery, when 1967 pennies were still being found in circulation. That possibility alone gives the coin a sense of urgency, a feeling that now is the time to search. And the story is far from over, because every year new varieties are identified, new errors are confirmed, and new records are broken. The 1967 1-cent coin continues to evolve from pocket change into legend, from copper disc into potential treasure, and the next chapter of its story may already be sitting somewhere, waiting to be found. As the story of the 1967 1-cent coin moves even further into the world of elite collecting, the focus shifts from what can be found to how value is truly created. Because in numismatics, price is not just a number, it is the result of fear, desire, competition, and belief. When collectors talk about coins reaching unimaginable values, they are really talking about moments when multiple powerful forces collide at the same time. And the 1967 penny sits quietly at the center of this storm. Professional grading is one of the most powerful forces shaping the fate of any coin. When a 1967 penny is submitted to a major grading service, it undergoes an intense examination that leaves no detail uninspected. Magnification reveals metal flow lines, strike pressure, surface preservation, and signs of tampering. The graders are not just assigning a number, they are deciding how history will remember that coin. A single point difference in grade can mean the difference between thousands, millions, or in rare cases, entry into legendary status. Coins that emerge with near-perfect grades instantly become objects of desire, not only for collectors, but for investors who see rare coins as tangible assets immune to inflation and market collapse. Error authentication is even more critical. Many people believe they have found a rare error, but only a fraction of claims survive professional scrutiny. True mint errors show specific characteristics that cannot be replicated outside the mint. The metal must flow naturally, the edges must display proper deformation, and the error must align with known minting processes. A genuine 1967 error penny tells a mechanical story, one that experts can trace back to a specific failure in the minting sequence. When such an error is confirmed, it transforms the coin from curiosity into certified rarity. Auction psychology plays a massive role in extreme valuations. When a rare coin appears at auction, it is not just being sold, it is being tested. Bidders enter the room or the online platform with different motivations. Some want to complete a registry set, others want to secure a trophy piece, and some simply want to prevent a rival from owning it. This competition can drive prices far beyond rational expectations. In the case of a rumored unique 1967 penny, even the suggestion that it might be the only one in existence is enough to ignite bidding wars that defy logic. The $281 million figure often discussed in connection with the 1967 penny is not about everyday examples or even common errors. It is tied to the concept of absolute uniqueness. In numismatics, a coin that should not exist but does exist occupies a category of its own. If a 1967 penny were confirmed to be struck on an experimental planchet, approved briefly and then abandoned, its value would no longer be comparable to other pennies. It would stand alone, immune to price guides and historical averages. In such cases, collectors do not ask how much it is worth. They ask how badly someone wants it. Historical context adds fuel to this fire. The late 1960s were a period of experimentation and adjustment at the U.S. Mint. Changes in metal composition, die preparation, and production methods were all under consideration. Documentation from this era is incomplete, leaving room for mysteries to exist. This uncertainty allows rare coins to carry an aura of possibility, and possibility is priceless in the eyes of collectors. Private collectors at the top of the market operate differently from everyday hobbyists. They often collect in secrecy, acquiring pieces quietly and storing them in vaults where they may not be seen for decades. When a coin like an extraordinary 1967 penny changes hands privately, the transaction may never be publicly recorded. What leaks out are rumors, whispers of offers refused, of insurance policies written for staggering amounts, of collectors willing to pay anything to own a piece of numismatic immortality. These stories, whether fully verified or not, shape the narrative and elevate the coin's mystique. Another factor that drives extreme value is cultural recognition. When a coin becomes famous, when it is discussed in videos, articles, and forums, its identity changes. It is no longer just metal, it becomes a symbol. The 1967 penny has become a symbol of the idea that treasure can still be found in the modern world. This idea resonates deeply with people, and resonance creates demand. Demand, when paired with rarity, creates explosive value. There is also the human element of belief. Collectors believe that history has not revealed all its secrets yet. They believe that undiscovered errors still exist. They believe that the next great discovery could happen tomorrow. This belief sustains the market and keeps prices climbing. Every time a new rare 1967 penny is authenticated, it reinforces the idea that even greater discoveries may still be waiting. Time itself acts as a multiplier. As decades pass, fewer high-quality examples survive. Environmental damage, mishandling, and simple loss reduce the population year by year. Coins that were once common become scarce. Scarce coins become rare. Rare coins become legendary. The 1967 penny is traveling this path slowly but surely, moving further away from circulation and deeper into the realm of collectibles. For many collectors, the search is as important as the find. Searching through rolls of pennies, examining each one under a light, feeling the weight in your hand, is an experience that connects you directly to history. It is a ritual, a discipline, and sometimes an obsession. The possibility that a single coin could change your life gives this ritual a powerful emotional charge. And this is why the story of the 1967 1-cent coin refuses to fade. It lives on in collections, in vaults, in rumors, and in the hands of people who refuse to stop looking. The next chapter is always just one discovery away, and as long as that possibility exists, the legend will continue to grow. As the narrative continues to unfold, the 1967 1-cent coin begins to reveal its most powerful secret, and that secret is not copper, not weight, not even errors, but human behavior. The rare coin market is driven by people, and people are driven by emotion, ambition, fear of missing out, and the desire to own something that no one else can. This is where the value of the 1967 penny transcends metal and becomes something far greater. At the highest levels of collecting, coins are not purchased casually. They are pursued. Elite collectors study population reports obsessively, tracking how many examples of a particular variety exist and how many have been graded at the highest levels. When the population is extremely low, sometimes just one or two known examples, a sense of urgency takes hold. The 1967 penny, particularly in rumored ultra-rare error forms, occupies this psychological space. The idea that there may only be one true example creates pressure that builds over years, sometimes decades, until it erupts in a single explosive transaction. That long-term investment thinking plays a crucial role in this process. Wealthy investors often look for assets that are detached from traditional markets. Stocks fluctuate, currencies inflate, real estate cycles up and down, but a unique coin remains what it is forever. It cannot be recreated. It cannot be diluted. A one-of-a-kind 1967 penny, once confirmed, would exist outside of economic systems, making it incredibly attractive to those seeking permanent stores of value. This is how a humble 1-cent coin enters conversations usually reserved for fine art and historical manuscripts. Another layer of intrigue comes from generational transfer. Many of the most important coins in history have passed from one generation to the next, gaining value with each transfer. When a legendary coin is inherited rather than sold, it disappears from the market, increasing its mystique and future desirability. Collectors know that the longer a coin remains hidden, the more powerful its eventual reappearance becomes. The 1967 penny, if held privately by a family or institution, could be growing in value silently with every passing year. The role of storytelling cannot be underestimated. Coins with stories sell for more, sometimes far more, than coins without them. A 1967 penny discovered in pocket change is interesting. A 1967 penny discovered after decades in a forgotten collection is better. A 1967 penny tied to experimental minting, whispered about among experts, and known only through rumor becomes legendary. Story transforms metal into mythology, and mythology commands premium value. Collectors also pay close attention to provenance, the documented history of ownership. A coin with a clear and fascinating ownership trail is more desirable than one that appears suddenly with no explanation. Provenance adds legitimacy, confidence, and romance. If an extraordinary 1967 penny were traced back to a former mint employee, an early collector, or a historically significant hoard, its value would multiply instantly. Provenance is proof that a coin's story is real. The global nature of modern collecting amplifies these effects. Collectors are no longer limited by geography. A rare 1967 penny can attract interest from buyers across continents, all competing in the same auctions or private negotiations. This global competition drives prices upward and accelerates value growth. What once might have been a niche American collectible is now part of a worldwide market for rarity. Technology has also changed the game. High-resolution imaging, digital databases, and online forums allow collectors to share discoveries instantly. A newly discovered error can become famous overnight. This rapid dissemination of information increases demand and reduces the time it takes for a coin to reach peak recognition. The 1967 penny has benefited from this exposure, becoming a frequent subject of discussion and analysis among collectors of all levels. Despite all this attention, the search remains deeply personal. Many collectors speak of moments of quiet anticipation as they examine a coin, the feeling that history might be resting in their palm. The possibility that a 1967 penny could be worth more than entire neighborhoods gives this moment a sense of awe. It reminds collectors why they started in the first place, not for money alone, but for the thrill of discovery. There is also a philosophical side to this story. The idea that something so small and overlooked could carry immense value challenges assumptions about worth and importance. It suggests that value is not always obvious, that it can be hidden in plain sight. The 1967 penny embodies this lesson perfectly, serving as a reminder that history often disguises its treasures as the years continue to pass. The 1967 penny moves further from everyday circulation and deeper into the realm of legend. Each new discovery, each confirmed error, each whispered private sale adds another layer to its story. It is no longer just a coin from 1967. It is a symbol of possibility, patience, and the extraordinary potential hidden within the ordinary. And the journey is still far from complete, because the final chapters of this story involve the future, the unknown discoveries yet to be made, and the ultimate question that every collector asks in silence. What if the next one is mine? As the story moves closer to its most intense territory, the 1967 1-cent coin begins to exist not just in the present or the past, but in the future, because what truly drives legendary value is not what has already happened, but what collectors believe is still possible. The future is where speculation becomes fuel, and the 1967 penny burns brighter than almost any modern coin because it sits at the edge between documented history and unanswered questions. Many seasoned collectors believe that the full catalog of 1967 penny errors has not yet been discovered. This belief is not wishful thinking. It is based on historical precedent. Time and time again, major varieties and errors have surfaced decades after a coin's release. Coins once considered fully studied suddenly reveal new doubled dies, new off-metal strikes, or previously unknown die states. The reason is simple. Millions of coins were produced, but only a fraction have ever been examined closely. The rest were spent, stored, or forgotten. Every year that passes reduces the pool, but it also increases the intensity of the search. There is a powerful theory among experts that some of the most extreme 1967 penny errors may still be locked away in private collections where their owners do not yet understand what they possess. These coins may be sitting in inherited albums, coffee cans, or old boxes labeled pennies, waiting for the moment when someone finally takes a closer look. When that moment happens, history can change instantly. A single authentication can rewrite price guides, reshape collector focus, and send shockwaves through the market. Future value is also shaped by generational shifts. Younger collectors entering the hobby today are growing up in a digital world where stories spread fast and legends grow even faster. A single viral video or high-profile discovery can elevate a coin from obscurity to global fame overnight. The 1967 penny, with its simple design and shocking potential, is perfectly suited for this kind of modern rediscovery. Its story is easy to understand, emotionally powerful, and deeply symbolic. Another factor pushing the coin toward legendary status is scarcity of top-condition survivors. As time continues to erode the supply of pristine examples, high-grade coins become exponentially more valuable. A mint-state 1967 penny with full red luster is already far scarcer than most people realize. Combine that condition with a dramatic, undeniable mint error, and the result is a coin that simply cannot be replaced. Replacement scarcity is one of the strongest drivers of long-term value in numismatics. Collectors also look at historical parallels. Coins that were once considered common, even boring, have later become some of the most expensive in the world due to a single defining characteristic. A date, a mistake, a transitional moment in minting history can elevate an ordinary coin into an icon. The 1967 penny occupies a similar position. It was born during a unique minting policy, struck in massive numbers under intense pressure, and released into circulation at a time when quality control was stretched thin. These conditions are exactly what create legends. The idea of a 1-cent coin reaching a valuation measured in hundreds of millions is shocking, but shock is part of the story. Shock creates disbelief, disbelief creates debate, and debate keeps attention alive. Attention is oxygen for the collector market. As long as people are talking about the 1967 penny, searching for it, analyzing it, and imagining what could still be out there, its perceived importance continues to rise. There is also the concept of legacy. Some collectors are not driven by profit at all, but by the desire to leave something behind. Owning a legendary coin means becoming part of its story. It means future generations will speak your name alongside the coin itself. For these collectors, price becomes secondary to immortality. A unique 1967 penny offers exactly that kind of legacy, the chance to be remembered as the guardian of something truly extraordinary. Even skepticism plays a role. Doubt forces deeper research, closer inspection, and higher standards of proof. Each challenge strengthens the narrative when a coin survives scrutiny. The more the 1967 penny is questioned, the more powerful confirmed discoveries become. Skepticism does not weaken the legend. It refines at its core. The fascination with the 1967 1-cent coin is about hope. Hope that history still has secrets. Hope that value can hide in plain sight. Hope that something small can change everything. This hope keeps collectors searching long after logic says they should stop. It keeps them checking weights, examining edges, and holding coins up to the light one more time. And as the future unfolds, the story of the 1967 penny remains unfinished. The final record price has not been written. The final discovery has not been made. The final owner has not yet been named. All of that still lies ahead, waiting for the moment when the next chapter reveals itself and turns belief into reality. As the story pushes forward into its most intense phase, the 1967 1-cent coin begins to stand not just as an object of speculation, but as a mirror reflecting how humans assign meaning to rarity, time, and chance. At this stage, the coin is no longer being judged by face value, metal content, or even traditional market logic. It is being judged by its power to inspire obsession, and obsession is the most powerful currency in the collector world. Among veteran numismatists, there is a quiet understanding that the greatest coins are not always the oldest or the most visually impressive. The greatest coins are the ones that challenge expectations. A 1967 penny does exactly that. It forces collectors to confront the uncomfortable idea that value is not fixed, that something dismissed for decades can suddenly emerge as priceless. This reversal of belief is what fuels relentless searching and keeps the legend alive at the extreme end of the market. Negotiations do not happen like ordinary sales. They unfold slowly, sometimes over years. A collector who believes they possess an extraordinary 1967 penny may refuse to sell at any price, waiting for the world to catch up to what they already know. Meanwhile, potential buyers watch closely, tracking every mention, every rumor, every hint that the coin might resurface. This silent standoff builds tension, and tension increases perceived value. By the time a coin finally changes hands, its price reflects not just rarity, but years of anticipation. There is also the factor of institutional interest. Museums, foundations, and cultural institutions have begun to recognize rare coins as historical documents rather than mere collectibles. A unique 1967 penny tied to experimental minting or an undocumented error would represent a tangible piece of American industrial history. Institutional competition introduces a different kind of buyer, one not limited by personal budgets, but driven by preservation and prestige. When institutions enter the picture, prices can escalate beyond anything seen before. The role of certification cannot be overstated in this final stage. A coin without authentication is a rumor. A coin with certification becomes reality. The moment an extraordinary 1967 penny is officially verified, photographed, and cataloged, it crosses a line from speculation into history. That single act can transform whispers into headlines and belief into consensus. Certification freezes a moment in time and declares that this coin, exactly as it exists, is real and irreplaceable. Collectors also understand that markets do not move in straight lines. Periods of quiet often precede explosive growth. Interest in the 1967 penny may surge, fade, and surge again, each time reaching a higher level than before. These cycles gradually build a foundation of recognition and trust. When the final surge arrives, it does so with overwhelming force, carrying prices into territory once thought impossible. Another powerful element is comparison. Collectors compare the 1967 penny to other legendary coins, asking whether it belongs in the same conversation. As similarities accumulate, the comparison strengthens. Unique error, historical context, limited population, strong narrative, and emotional impact are the ingredients that define legendary status. The 1967 penny checks more of these boxes with every passing year. Behind all the numbers and theories lies a deeply human story. Somewhere, someone may be holding a coin they do not yet understand. That person may be living an ordinary life, unaware that a small copper disc in their possession could one day become the center of global attention. This possibility is what gives the story its emotional weight. It reminds us that history is not always discovered in grand moments, but often in quiet ones. The search itself becomes a form of devotion. Collectors talk about nights spent examining coins under lamps, about the calm focus that comes with repetition, about the moment when something feels different in the hand. These experiences bind collectors together across generations. The 1967 penny becomes a shared dream, a collective challenge issued by history itself. As time continues forward, the gap between common examples and extraordinary ones grows wider. Ordinary 1967 pennies fade further into anonymity, while rare examples rise higher into legend. This separation sharpens focus and intensifies desire. It makes the extraordinary stand out even more against the backdrop of the ordinary. And now the story approaches its final threshold, where belief, rarity, and time converge. The question is no longer whether the 1967 1-cent coin can be valuable. The question is how far that value can go when the right discovery meets the right moment. History has shown that when those moments align, limits disappear. The journey of the 1967 penny is a reminder that the smallest things can carry the largest stories, that value can hide in plain sight, and that legends are not born fully formed, but assembled piece by piece through time, patience, and belief. The ending of this story has not yet been written, because it will be written by the next discovery, the next confirmation, the next moment when someone realizes that what they are holding is not just a coin, but a doorway into history.